Hey, good morning, everybody. Well, we got a little project on the works here. I have a Onefinity CNC coming in. It's the Journeyman, biggest one they got. Because, well, it's always something I've wanted to learn. Always had an interest in that kind of stuff. And now I think, overall stuff's doing pretty good. So what we have here is going to be part of the torsion box that is going to sit on. So I've cut up a bunch of little bits that are going to be glued and nailed to some stringers. We got 2.5 inch by 4 feet cut out of some plywood. This is some aspen plywood I got at Home Depot. I've used this before. It's a bit gummy. It's a really soft wood, but for what I need, it was it was a couple dollars more a sheet than the standard construction plywood, which almost looked like an angry beaver just went at it to a tree and maybe made something sort of flat. And then the nicer birch veneer, which is like over $100 a sheet now. So we have these all cut up. I have 2 sheets cut at 66 inches right there by 4 feet. My understanding is that the unit has a cut of 4 feet by 30 inches or 32 inches. So what we're going to do is make a sheet just a little bit bigger. The reason why I went with that size is a couple things. Number one, 66 inch wide will certainly allow the unit to fully sit there. 44 inches or 48 inches this way will give it lots of room front to back for everything to sit on, be protected and that type of thing. Haven't figured out where the control units and stuff are going to go, but that's something I'll work out later. But the real reason it's 66 inches wide, why do you think? Well, it's because my truck. It was raining the day I bought this stuff, and my truck has an internal bed size of 66 inches, and I have a diamond back cover, so that's as big as I could get. It'll work. Now, next thing we're going to do is, I've seen a lot of videos on how to do these torsion boxes and that type of thing. Some of them are really intricate. All we need is something rigid. So I think a lot of it's over top where they're up and down to one side plus or minus 1/1,000,000th of a thou or 1/1,000,000th of a micrometer or that type of thing, nanometer. I think we're just going to make something nice and rigid and as flat as we can. Now, if you remember a little while ago, I made this outfeed table, which has all the dog holes, but I made it with some inspiration from the Ron Polk, sort of setup with some holes all held together with pocket screws. It's pretty darn flat. So I'm going to get everything sort of set up. We're going to just see how flat it is. And I'm going to make these things into sections. And then I can, put them all together in sections, screw them together, make sure they're nice and tight, and then, square one end up and put them together kind of like Lego. So I don't know if it's going to work. Let's hope it is. Okay, just to confirm before we start anything, this thing used my big old DeWalt 6.5 foot level. It's with a 1/16th to a 32nd of an inch flat level in all the different planes. So from my perspective, that's going to be close enough. I think it's, you're going to be using the CNC to, level that spoil board eventually. It's going to have the head. And if it's out of kilter a little bit, we can always shim up 1 foot up and down. So I think this is going to be perfectly acceptable and less work in the long run. So I got to get this done. It's hopefully going to be coming maybe in the next week. 2 weeks? I don't know. Okay, so I got everything kind of laid out. I just put a mark at the 1 foot increments. I'm going to make little bays, 4 bays. They're 14 inches long. So by my calculations, 14 inches with 3/4 inch of these. The outer ones will probably have a double skin on them once I get them all figured out. It's going to be pretty rigid in this length, which is, front to back on the CNC. That's fine. It's going to have more support this way. So I thought doubling it up this way would be better. We'll see how it goes. I'm just going to get a bit of glue and some brad nails, and I'm just going to line it up here with the edge. I could do the middle. I'll just do the edge and try and keep them relatively equal. Once they're on the big sheet of plywood, then I'll be able to square them up better. Yeah, it'll be easier to understand when I do it all later, but again, instead of making each individual square, I'm just doing this kind of stuff. We'll see how it works. Okay, I think I got my process pretty much nailed down now. I am putting a little bit of glue on the rail side. On this one, I put equal to the end. This one I put on the inside of the line. This one I put on the line. This one I put on the inside, that way, of the line. And that one I put right on the line. I push this board down, make sure this is flush with this. Drive two 16 gauge brad nails in, boom, flip it over, do the same thing. And so far we got 3 of these sections done, ready to go. It's coming along actually fairly easily. I'm hoping this is going to work this good this way. I'm experimenting as much as anything with you guys, so you're going to see me totally mess up, or maybe come up with a better way of doing it. I don't know. Let's find out. On the back side of this unit that I'm doing, I did run a bunch of the bench dogs so that I can push it up against here, push everything tight against that while I'm brad nailing in, and give it a bit of a push to make sure it's all lined up properly. So again, if you have a bench with dogs in it, these things really do come in handy. It's probably one of the first times I've used them for something like this. I really should use them some more. All right, everybody, I've given these little guys a good bit of time to sort of dry and cure up and the glue to set. And when I look at it, there's some not perfect sort of spots here where, you know, they're close, but they don't light up perfectly. And I thought, well, how am I going to flatten these things out? I don't even have a CNC to do that with. Wait a minute. Thickness sander. Yeah, my first good practical use for this thing. So I redid the whole setup on this and made sure that that end is parallel to, or planar with that end. I put 2 little pieces of plywood through, one on this side, one on that side. Took the calipers, measured them down. It's within 0.02 of an inch. So for me, that's good enough. That's within woodworking tolerance as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to run all 4 of these guys through the thickness sander and get them all exactly the same thickness and get rid of any, you know, sort of oopsies on here. They'll probably end up just shy of 2.5 inches, but it's going to, you know, take care of all these little fuzzes. This plywood is pretty gnarly stuff. It fuzzes up and does some weird things here, man. So I'm going to get this all finished up. Let me get that going for you, and I'll show you what the outcome is. Hey, out in the workshop still with the termite. She came out and came to visit. So we just threw these guys through the thickness sander, and they look pretty straight. There's some variance here, but if we look at this here, we went from 2.50. Oh, that's fantastic. Camera work there. Okay, here we go. So we have 2.432. Come down to the other end. 2.434. That's within 2 thou. I'm good that. I think it's 2 thousandths or 2 tenths. I never remember these things. And we got 2.432. And you'll have to take my word on this, but we got 2. Oh, that's not right. 2.428. I'm calling that good. So all of them are pretty much same within spec and ready to be assembled onto the skins. So, well, the termite and Mrs. Wood Butcher have tested positive for COVID, and I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to get it at some point in time. So, you know, if I'm home with their help and they're not feeling too bad, we'll get the skins on. and then I'll show you how we're going to do that. But basically, we're going to put these down, put a skin on top, mark out where the stringers are underneath, and then we'll glue and brad nail them in, just like we did with this. And I think that's going to be pretty darn strong. Catch you later, and I'll show you our next step. Hey, wood butchers. Finally caught the COVID thing. Feeling pretty crappy right now, but I gotta get this done. Got shipping notice. I got my clamps out. This is our torsion box, so I did my grid. I'll show you that later. But this is our first skin panel, and I got all the grids lined out of where things are at. And I'm just starting to nail it all together so it holds, well, the glue is drying. Anyways, I'll show you some more later, but termite clamps, really handy if you can find them. They're expensive, but they're worth it if you can get them. Let it sit overnight, and hopefully be good to go. Oh yeah, if you notice over there, I totally botched that up. I put one of the stringers in the wrong size and plowed the nails through the wrong way. I just put an extra set in afterwards. Alrighty. Okay, so we got the torsion box all done up. I just checked it. It is super rigid and super beefy. So it should help to limit any vibrations and movement and that type of thing. The one thing is, it's not quite as perfect as I'd hoped. Come on, focus. I don't know if this is going to come through. It's about a 16th or 3/32, or I don't know how all that it works. But anyways, there's a little bit of a dip in the middle, but I guess that's why you have a spoil board. It seems mainly on the outside, so we'll see how all this works. I might get a dial indicator on the spindle once I get it all set up and figured out. Anyways, time to go inside, take some NyQuil, and crash for the night. And hopefully the next thing you see on this is going to be the Onefinity CNC on top of it. So anyways, have a good one, everybody. If any of this helps you a little bit, maybe throw a little subscribe, a little bit of like on there. Kind of helps me out. I'm getting close to, well, I'm over 700 subscribers now. So hey, to everybody, thank you so much. It means a lot to me, actually. And hey, if we can hit 1,000, that'd be even more cool. Otherwise, take care, have a good evening, go make a mess, have some fun, enjoy life. Have a good one.